Royals drop another series. This time the Los Angeles Dodgers. They lose 2 of 3. Improved offense a little bit this weekend, but still not enough to win the series. We'll maybe dive into the numbers a little more about what's going on with the offense now that we got about half season sample here. And then we'll preview the series coming up in Seattle with the Mariners the beginning of this week. We'll do that live right now, one row away. We're back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you like the video if you're watching live on YouTube. Be sure you're subscribed on all audio platforms. Hit those notification bells so you know when these episodes go live. And we are always live on Sunday night, 8:30 Central. A little later tonight. Had some stuff go on. Still not in my office. I got a desk ordered. It should get delivered later this coming week. So I'm at my dining room table. The boxes are starting to go away, so it's feeling a little more like home and not like just a mountain of boxes sitting around with all my stuff in it. So very grateful for the home that we're living in. My kids love it. They have space to run around. My dog has a backyard to run around in. So it's been great so far. But once I get the office settled, it'll feel a little bit better and not like I'm having to scramble for a setting to come and record this. So appreciate the patience, over this time, as episodes have been a little irregular. Obviously I can't thank Jordan and Josh enough last week, and then recording Friday morning instead of Thursday night, now Sunday night in my dining room instead of, in my office, but it's all good. This show is always brought to you by Emprise Bank, member FDIC. Our partners Impossible here at Kansas City Sports Network. We can't thank them enough for their support on this show and everything we do here at KCSN. Cheers on a Sunday night to everybody. All right. So I put a poll out on Twitter asking what people wanted to see. Did they want to see more of kind of a game-by-game recap like I've done in the past? A little easier to do those when the team is winning more than they have been lately, or if they wanted to talk about just full season narratives and things like that, over the course of the series, just things that stuck out to me. Based on the poll that went up, let me make sure I check those results here. 87% of you guys that voted, which thank you for doing so, wanted to just talk about the season as a whole. So we'll go ahead and just do that, or the series as a whole, I guess I should say. So you lose game one on Friday night, 5-4. Bit of a heartbreaker. You got bases loaded, one out. Cags grounds into a double play to end the game. Brutal way to win. Or brutal way to lose. God. Here shortly. But you finally win a home game in June on Saturday. You win 9-5. It wasn't that close. They dominated that game, which they needed to. And we'll talk about some of the offensive things we saw in that game. And then on Sunday, you lose game 5-1. They were in it for a little bit. Cruz and kind of gave that one away. Not putting the whole blame on him, but it was 2-1, ends up being 4-1 right there. The offense kind of regressed back to what we've seen for most of this month and for most of this season. There are still some things that I take away from this, like, okay, not necessarily that they're turning a corner, but just they have it in them offensively to get some things figured out. I'm looking at the runners and scoring position stuff right now. That's what I'm pulling up. Please, I wish I had all of my tabs up, but I certainly did not at this time. But you go 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position, which is obviously not great, but it's better than normal. But leaving 11 on in that game is not. It's not going to help anybody. And they kept themselves in that game. They had opportunities to win that game. Dodgers obviously jump out early with Ohtani getting the homer, but then they turn right around and it was kind of punch, counter punch. Salvi gets the hit, and then it's 3-1 Dodgers. Next inning, Noah Cameron gives up another homer, and then Bobby comes up, strikes, and it's 5-4 it's 4-3 just like that. They had certainly had the opportunities in that game and just wasn't enough. But then those opportunities came back around on Saturday, and they took full advantage. And it was a game that Ohtani started, only threw a couple innings, and they turned it over to kind of a bullpen-ish game. They bullpen 2 of these games, and it kind of Justin Wrobleski shoved against the Royals on Sunday. And I mean, that's an Oklahoma State guy. So I'm obviously glad to see him having success, just not necessarily in this instance. And that game, like Lugo pitched well. And you saw some of those runners in scoring position things come back. And only left 6 on. They go 6-12 with runners on. Working numbers and some big innings there. Vinny, obviously, with the big home run. They put up 3 with just a hit parade in the 7th inning to really put it away. It was 6-0 and then 6-1. And you wonder, like, okay, where are they at? How are they going to be able to hold on? You get 3, you essentially put it away. Sam Long tries to blow it in the 9th, but ultimately they gave themselves enough of a cushion that, put yourself in a decent spot. Sunday, and I don't think I probably should have tweeted it, but my thought was after the game, like, this is the game we've been begging for. We wanted to see this game offensively so badly. They needed a game like this, and they just haven't been able to put it together consistently offensively. So I wondered, like, okay, is this something they can build off of? They lose on Friday. You felt like, okay, they put up 4 runs. They gave themselves a fighting chance, despite some shortcomings offensively still. Like, they're right there with the chance to win the game in the 9th. Cags just rolls over. And then you put up a 9 spot on Saturday, and then on Sunday, you no-show. And that was my concern was, okay, we haven't really seen them put together 3 really good offensive games in a row. Like the Cardinals series was really the only one that I can really think of. Maybe that Rangers series last week, but even then, they still weren't that great offensively. They had the one really good game in the first game of that series. Second game was okay. And then outside of the Cags homers, like, they really didn't do much. That's after that first inning. So this is just who they are, is an inconsistent offense. And mostly a bad offense, despite the talent that should, be there night in, night out. Bobby gets the 4-hit game. He was hot in this series. He gets the home run in the first game of the series, big time homer. Really needed that one. 4-hit game on Saturday, and then he gets the RBI double in the first, which ended up being the only run the Royals scored. So he was good. Vinny has a great game on Saturday with 5 RBIs and 3 home runs. Michael has a big game. India has a 4-hit game on Saturday. Like, you see some of these, it's like they just can't all get hot at the same time, and that's part of the inconsistency. So I guess we'll see, if anybody's able to put it together with any sort of regularity and go from there. I do want to talk about Cags a little bit, but before we talk about some of the pitching stuff and a little more on the offense, kind of in the back half of this. And I know I'm rambling, but I appreciate everybody that's listening and kind of knows where I'm headed here. At least I'm on the right track. At least I think so. So obviously there was a lot of frustration with the way that the at-bat on Friday night went. Big spot for him. They had gained a ton of momentum. The fans were in it. They're probably standing at Kauffman. I was not tuned in at that point. I had walked out of the room to go and do something else. I'm still kind of unpacking boxes and half watching. And I didn't realize they had the bases loaded. But I saw that Cags was up. I was listening. And I'm like, he's going to swing at the first pitch. Like, you just kind of knew, right? It is kind of it's in his nature, and B, he's a young dude. This is probably the biggest at bat of his career to this point. Lefty. Tanner Scott's one of the best relievers in the sport. That's a tough matchup. It's a exploding fastball that stays at the top of the zone. Wipeout slider with it. Like, if he throws a first pitch fastball, he's going to swing. And it may have just swung anyways. And the hope for me was foul it off or just swing and miss and live to fight another day. Instead, he rolls over. Double play, game's over. And Freddie Freeman made a great pick at first. Like, it very easily could have fallen off his glove, or he could have got his foot off the bag and, run scores regardless. And despite the results, a tie game. But nope, Freddie made a great play, and that's it. So a lot of frustration with that Cags needed to be benched. Cags needed – I've seen people wanting him sent back down. I've seen all sorts of people starting to turn on him a little bit. And I talked about that. Like, guys, this is going to come with the territory with this guy. As talented as he is, this was an outcome that was possible, that he was going to struggle at the beginning of his career, that he is going to have nights like this and have stretches like this. He really hasn't done much since he hit those 2 home runs. He had those 2 games in San Diego where I thought he looked great. The game against Cease where he had the 2 walks and the hit by pitch. He looked comfy up there. He had the double in the first game. He had some better plate appearances. But he's kind of back. He's pressing. It's part of being a big leaguer and figuring this stuff out. And as unfortunate as that at-bat was, Bobby Witt Jr. did the same stuff when he was a rookie. I'm not saying this to compare Bobby Witt Jr. and Jack Aglio. What I'm saying is that kind of stuff happens to young players. They press, they get tight in those big at-bats. I remember when Bobby was a rookie, even midway into his, not even midway, like first couple months of his second year. I remember one game specifically. I think it was against the A's in 23. I'm trying to remember, but I was at the game. Runners on first and second with 1 out in the 8th or the 9th of a close game. And Bobby did the same sort of thing. He rolled over, swinging at the first pitch, trying to make something happen. And the inning was over, or, regardless, the Royals didn't score. Nothing happened. Bobby didn't come up with a big hit. And I was like, man, the dude really gets tight in some of these spots. And it happened as a young player, and especially with a player with the type of expectation that comes with Jack Aglio, with what fans wanted to see. Dude, that people wanted, 10 home runs by now. It just doesn't work that way. Progression and development in the big leagues is not linear. These are the things he has to learn from. And as I talked about on the previous episode, despite these struggles, like, he has to figure it out here, because going down to AAA is not going to help him. It's just going to reinforce bad habits. He has to be able to kick those habits now and learn and figure out, okay, how am I going to do this at the big league level with my approach? I got to change some things. Got to figure some stuff out. I say he's kind of sinking into his legs a little bit more. That's something I've noticed as of late. I guess we'll see, how he continues to progress and the adjustments that he makes. I still believe that the dude has all-world talent, and he's going to get it figured out. But these are the sort of things that young players go through. And I think with him coming up, the expectations he was going to help save or fix the offense were just right. The crazy left-handed power that he has, and it hasn't happened. But I think ultimately he's going to be fine, because I watched not too long ago, as Royals fans, we watched a young player, Bobby Witt Jr., mature and figure it out. Bobby had same sort of, not the same, but similar types of issues with swinging too early, swinging too often, and chasing. And Bobby still chases more than you like, even as an MVP level ceiling player. It's just a matter of making enough adjustments to mitigate any weaknesses and maximizing your strengths. And Cags is going to be able to do that. I'm confident in that. It's just a matter of how soon does that happen. It may not happen this year, but another offseason, and we'll see where he's at. I'm still confident. It sucks that it had to happen in that spot. Obviously he was wanting to make the big hit, did a little too much. This kind of stuff happens to every ball player, even the best. Don't always come through, and they hit that in that situation. It is what it is. We'll take a first break, and we'll be right back. We'll talk a little more about the offense, maybe some pitching performances, and head into the weekend. Or into the weekend.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, Equal housing lender.
Folks, there's nothing that beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And there's no simpler way to get in on the action than by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
If you are an audio only listener, I advise you to go over to YouTube and just watch. If nothing else, if you don't watch anything I say, one, just be sure to hit that like button when you do. And two, go watch and just see Tucker Franklin walk around in a cut-off Toledo football t-shirt. It's incredible. I love that, man. What a guy. What a guy Tucker Franklin is. I hope you're listening, Tucker, so that you can hear me compliment you like that. So we got a comment in here regarding Seth Lugo, and we'll talk about Lugo here in a minute. BPatch25, thanks for hopping in here. There's a lot of smoke around Lugo going to the Cubs and Cubs being willing to give up Owen Cassie or Kelvin Alcantara. Do you think the Royals trade Lugo at the deadline for some impactful bats? I see that scenario. I mean, they're 6 games under right now. There's no real signs of life that the offense is going to be able to turn it around to be able to make a playoff run. So certainly a conversation to be had about trading Lugo, and there's a good chance Lugo opts out after the season is over. So yeah, like if the Royals are in a position where they need they know they're not going to be able to re-sign Lugo for the money that he's going to want, then absolutely. Like that's part of the conversation. Now the Cubs and those 2 players, that I'm not 100% sure. So I have baseball trade values pulled up, which I understand the disclaimer here. I know. This is not shoot, I can't do it. I don't know why I can't. It's not letting me. I don't know why this is not letting me do a trade. This is terrible radio because I thought 100% I'd be able to hop on baseball trade values because I have an account here. Regardless, that was unfortunate because I had that all queued up and ready to go. Regarding those 2 guys, I don't know if they'll be able to get one or both of those guys. I was going to base some of my analysis off of being able to see if the trade would work. But I do think they'd be able to get one bat. I don't know if it's necessarily like truly like high impact guy, but certainly a cost controlled dude that you can rely on, that they could be able to go to in a year or so, maybe next season, as a possibility. But what's going to be interesting is how the market plays out over the next couple of weeks. And that's the thing that I'm going to be watching for. The American League is still really muddy. Still, even with this, like the Royals are still playing terrible baseball and they're 4 back of a spot. Like they're not out of it. And I've been saying that for like 4 weeks now, but still, like, despite all of this, they're not clearly out of it. I saw a tweet that it was Lugo for Cassie and Jackson Wiggins. Okay. I mean, we'll see. A lot of this stuff is still, there's so much conjecture around this, and it's people that are kind of throwing stuff around. And I don't know how much industry knowledge there is to any sort of trade and the possible package, especially a month before the trade deadline. Like, no one had the Royals going and getting a Cole Reagans from the Rangers or get it from the Rangers for Aroldis Chapman. Like, yeah, there were some names floated around, but Reagan's wasn't one of them. And that's not to say that there's any truth to it. I don't know if there is, and nor do I'm really sure that there is. No one had the Royals going and getting Lucas Ursig from the A's for prospects. You know, I think it was Mason Barnett, Jared Dickey, and Will Klein. Like, no one knows anything until the report's actually made. People can throw a bunch of stuff into a trade machine or throw a bunch of random prospects together and make it package and write an article, and it'll get clicks because people are interested. People want to know the kind of players you can get for your prospects, or the type of prospects you can get for your players. So I'm not saying that there's not any validity to it that he could go to the Cubs. But that would be one. And I think that the team that the Royals were facing this past weekend would be a team that I think you consider for Seth Lugo. That should be in consideration for Seth Lugo as well. Dodgers played 2 bullpen games, and some of it is because Ohtani's working back. So that, acts as a 5th starter. They still bullpen a lot. I mean, they went Lou Trevino today in the first inning and then Justin Wroblewski for 5. They went to Kasparis after Ohtani, in kind of that bulk role. Who knows how much Ohtani actually ramps back up. And he can just go, 4 innings or whatever. I don't know how much he'll ramp up until the postseason. So they need a guy that can eat innings, and Lugo can do that. He's shown that he can do that over the last few years. And I thought he pitched really well on Saturday. Bit of a weird outing, but he gives up no runs or 1 run. And he strikes out 8, but he walks 5, only gives up 4 hits. So there was some traffic, but he still pitched. I thought he pitched really well. Kind of a throwback sort of start with the dude, kind of the junk balls it all over the place, walks some, but still get some punchies. He's up, and that value is going to be there. There's a ton of value in a guy that can eat innings, not going to limit, that is going to limit damage, even without a high strikeout rate. And that's a name that is going to be end up being one of the top names if the Royals decide to sell. And I still say if because they're only 4 out. But I understand that if is getting less significant, if that makes sense. Like, it becomes more of a when than an if. But there's still time for that. So I've seen it. I saw it talked about on Twitter, and I wanted to look into it a little bit. The Royals' inability to really hit fastballs from an offensive perspective. And I wanted to look into the numbers a little bit, and this is it's not all perfect stats. And we talked about the runners and scoring position stuff on Friday. That still holds true. It's still the worst in baseball, even with a couple of games where you feel like they still did all right offensively. But one thing that the Royals have struggled with is a total offense in the last 5 years, and that's not all Alex Zumwalt as the hitting coach. That's Terry Bradshaw before him, which may speak to something I'm going to get to with the other side of this. But hitting fastballs has been an issue. Of the guys with at least 75 pitches seen, and I brought it down to that number because I wanted to add Cags in here. He's seen 83 fastballs. So it's based on the pitch type. You only have 2 hitters with at least 75 fastballs seen that are above a 0 run value, which if you want the definition for run value, so this is what it says. So there is context neutral run value, which is what this is. Excludes the impact of the base out situation of the play. Does not matter whether the play happens with no outs, bases empty, 2 outs, or bases loaded. This is the primary batting and pitching run value displayed, allowing for a more standardized comparison of hitting performance. So basically, what do you do with the pitch, regardless of the situation? And I have this as context neutral. I don't have this in leverage. I can pull up leverage if you guys are interested, and I still may do that just for my own comparison here. The only 2 hitters that have a positive run value against 4-seam fastballs, and I'm just using 4-seam as an example. You can look sinker, cutter, all of it. Vinny is the highest with 3, and Drew Waters, surprisingly. That one was kind of surprising. So I feel like every time I see Drew Waters take a fastball above the belt, he swings through because the swing is kind of grooved. Other than that, Bobby Wood Jr. is a 0. He was a 10 run value last year. He was one of the few dudes on the team that could really hammer fastballs. Jack is a 0 thus far in his career. Now it's only 83 fastball seen. So we'll see how the sample grows. Everyone else is a negative. Jonathan India is a -4. Salvador Perez is a -3. Michael Garcia is a -3, and he struggled against fastballs his entire career. Kyle Isbell's a -2. Freddie Fermin's a -3. Michael Massey was a -8 with only 273 fastballs seen. I mean, that's a problem. And now I want to look. So then it shows you, you can look at where the pitch is located. Heart of the zone, which is in the middle, right? Shadow is like the outer, if you look at like the 9 boxes, it's that outer part, plus a little bit, kind of basically like the black and a little bit further out, like almost to the chalk lines would kind of be the best way to describe it. When you look there, Drew Waters is the only one with a positive run value. Vinny Pasquantino is a -6 there, because this all adds up total between it's heart plus shadow plus chase plus waste when it comes to, and that's how you get that total run value number. Bobby is a -6 as well. Michael Massey is a -5, -3 for Salvador Perez, -1. Like Drew Waters is the only one that chases to the shadow and actually has some good results. Jack Caglione is a -1. The chase run value, the only dudes that have any sort of positive here are, this is kind of the interesting side of it, right? Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, Jonathan India, and all these guys have a positive run value on chase pitches, which is really fascinating. And then the waste, there's a couple of guys in run value, but it's a pretty low number. No one in the negatives. So I think what I am taking away from these numbers, and I know I threw a whole bunch of numbers at you, regardless, what this means is the Royals have a hard time hitting fastballs in the zone. They can chase them, with 2 strikes, and like Jack hit a ball with his neck, and hit it out. Salvi hit a ball. I don't think it wasn't enough. These guys can get the barrel to it. They're going to be able to crush it, regardless of where it's at. But what this shows is that contact-oriented, sort of aggressive approach, it works when you can hit fastballs. Struggling with fastballs. So now, that's where you're getting beat. I should not be watching Bobby Witt Jr. struggle with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. And I know that sounds stupid because hitting a baseball is really freaking hard. But you don't get fastballs down the middle in the big leagues very often. And if you do, you better hammer it because it's a mistake. But what I'm watching is very few guys on this team, A, be able to square it up, and B, they expand because they have this approach of trying to put the ball in play and just put the ball with an aggressive nature of putting the ball in play. And that leads to some bad contact a lot of times because they're just averse to taking walks. Like this is the lowest walk rate of Jonathan India's career, and it's still about league average. And that's a league average walk rate with the Royals might as well be the 85th or 90th percentile. Vinny isn't walking as much anymore because he's being more aggressive in the shadow of the zone and trying to make contact. And it's a trend that I wonder, and this is not me calling for anyone's job. I know that's the easy thing to do because Alex Zumwalt's the punching bag. Like, I get it. Whatever. I'm trying to be above that. But this is where I wonder if after the season is over, and this is, still months away from this, if the Royals decide to go in a different direction from a game plan and philosophy, because this philosophy worked for the 14-15 team, but that's 10 years ago. Think about how much the game has evolved since then. And I know that we kind of cling to it because that approach helped you win a World Series, but that helped you win a World Series 10 years ago when the game was different. The game is very, very different now than it was then. I don't know if that approach would win you a World Series in 2025. If you plop that same team in now, I don't know. So they did it with Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove. They brought those guys in. They brought, Paul Gibson was able to kind of make some adjustments. Brian Johnson's doing great things with the guys down in Omaha. And the Royals have been able to churn out effective starting pitchers, where it's felt impossible a few years ago with Cal Eldred and the previous pitching staff. Now it feels like, hey, bring in some different voices, bring in something new, and help turn this thing around. And that's what they did there. Zumwalt and those guys were still a part of the previous regime that helped do this. So I wonder if there needs to be a change in philosophy somewhere to try and help drive this thing forward and try and bring this team just a new voice, just something different. And maybe it helps elevate guys next season. Because that's really what I'm focused on beyond this year is just what is this going to look like in 26? Because Bobby Witt Jr. can't backslide for another year, right? And he has backslid from what he was last season. I thought he had a chance to get better, and we just haven't seen that so far. We haven't seen, Vinny Pasquantino has been kind of up and down. We've seen Michael get better, which is great, but there's still things he needs to improve on. He can't hit fastballs. We're coming to a point now where, like, how long until the book is out? Right. And that was part of the reason why he was the worst qualified hitter in the sport last year. Jack Caglione I'm watching him get bullied with fastballs in the strike zone, and he just can't square it up. And I don't know if that was just a part of that change he made where he's sinking into his legs a little more, or if this is just part of the adjustment of going to the big league level. And I hope this made any sort of sense to you guys. But we'll see how this goes the rest of the year. I don't want to come on here and have to talk about the same offensive stuff all year long for the rest of the season. It'll make for some really, really boring shows, probably some quick shows, because there's no point in saying the same stuff over and over and over again. Let's go ahead and talk about this series coming up with the Seattle Mariners. Now, the Mariners are finishing up. They finished up a series in Texas with the Rangers. They ended up taking 2 of 3, but all 3 games went in extra innings. 2 of those games went to the 12th. So you got to pitch a bullpen and a staff that's pretty gassed, and there's no off day. It's just back home. Michael Wacha will be on tomorrow night. That's an 8:40 first pitch. I'm just letting you guys know now. Good Shot Tuesday is going to be, oh boy. I'll be able to record it, but I'm going to be half asleep. I won't lie to you. But Kirby's not been the same this year. He came back from an injury that he got in spring training, and he's had some starts that have been good. I think he had like a 13 strikeout, no walk outing recently, but still gave up a home run in that game. He's been kind of prone to giving up homers, even in that ballpark at T-Mobile Park. That is one of the hardest places to hit and hardest places to hit home runs. But, he's gettable. As good as he is gettable now compared to other teams. And he actually, I think, is a really favorable matchup for the Royals, because Kirby doesn't walk guys, like, at all. I'll pull up the numbers because they just fascinate me. It's insane what this guy does. He is, and I said it before last season, he is Greg Maddux if Greg Maddux threw 97 miles an hour. Because in his big league career, in 548 and a third innings, that's 96 appearances. He made every start that he could in 22, 23, and 24. He missed some time this year. But he has 520 strikeouts to 73 walks. That is a crazy number, especially in today's game. It's only 9 walks. It's 9 walks and 36 2/3, and that's high for him. But 179 strikeouts to just 23 walks last season. The guy is constantly running the zone. I think that's why this actually pays the benefit of the Royals. They are going to swing, and they're going to swing if it's near the zone. Well, George Kirby's in the strike zone. He's not going to get a ton of chase because he just pounds the zone with all of his pitches. So if you're able to jump on some early count stuff, because he just has an aversion to walking guys, which I love. this could be one of those styles make fights sort of thing where you can go and kind of jump on a guy that's going to be around the zone a lot. Take advantage of it. On Tuesday, it's going to be Michael Lorenzen versus Emerson Hancock. He's probably not even probably, he's the worst starter on the Mariners. This is a 5 matchup. And maybe let's see if Lorenzen's going to be able to take advantage of pitching in that environment. Hancock is prone to giving up homers as well. I'm seeing how he's giving up. I feel like every time I watch a Mariners game, which you guys know I watch a lot of them, been around long enough. The Mariners were one of my favorite teams growing up. It was, each year it was the reason I fell in love with the game of baseball. I lived out in Seattle or in the Washington area in 2001 when they won 116 games. Yeah, Emerson Hancock in 71 and a third this year is giving up 15 homers. In a ballpark where it's tough to hit them. And it's a 5.3 ERA and a FIP around 5.67. So that's a guy that you should be able to take advantage of. But we said that when they faced Randy Vasquez last Sunday, and he shoved against him. So never say never with this team, I guess. And then on Wednesday, and these are all 8:40 first pitches Central Time. It's Noah Cameron against Logan Gilbert. Gilbert's been kind of up and down, but he's also dealt with some, I think it was an elbow injury or a forearm strain. He did not pitch great the other day in Texas. So you got a team that, and to their credit, they've hit the ball a lot better in recent weeks than they did early on in the season. They had the same sort of thing that the Royals had, which is pitching their butt off, but they can't hit. And now the offense has kind of gotten going a little, but now the pitching is taking a nosedive. So and you got 3 starters that can get you into the 5th if you're Kansas City. And guys can certainly can. So we'll see. This is a matchup of 2 teams that feel kind of similar to me, and they said the styles make fights. If they're able to jump on Kirby, I feel like that'll give them some confidence going into the next couple of games, and especially going up against Emerson Hancock, who's not very good. And I know saying that sounds stupid given what we've seen from this Royals offense, and that'll probably come back to bite me when I record on Tuesday night. But we'll see. I'm excited to see what this team has and see if, when they're able to get away from Kauffman Stadium, where apparently they can't win this month, how they're able to close out this month. How do they respond? And go from there. And yeah, I think that's all I got for tonight. I think my brain is telling me right now it's time to shut it down for the night. So I appreciate everybody hanging out that was watching this live on YouTube, that watches this after and listens on the audio side as well. Thank you guys very much. Like I said, you'll see an episode come from me on Wednesday morning after the Mariners-Royals game. The first 2 games of the series, break those down game by game. If they go well, if not, then I'll do what I've done the last couple of weeks. And after that, we'll talk on Thursday, which I believe is an off day for this team. Oh, no, it's a 4-game series. My goodness, why did I not know that? Now, by the way, that one's a 9-10 first pitch. Seth Lugo versus Brian Wu. Brian Wu is awesome. He's a very good pitcher. I think that tells you the state of mind that I am in at this point. I don't think they'll trade Lugo. From Elizabeth Hall, who is always in the chat. Thank you very much for hopping in here. I'll get out of here. I don't want them to trade Seth Lugo, because if they don't, that tells me that they are buying and they're going to try and make a run at it, which I would respect. But it would be the prescient thing to do if you are out of it, or you don't think we're 1 or 2 guys away, which I don't think this team is. I don't think they're just 1 or 2 guys away or 1 or 2 bats away from fixing this offense. Maybe if they go and get a super high impact guy, but I don't think they're going to they don't have the capital to go and get that high end guy to change the complexion of this team. So I lean right now on the side of they're probably going to end up selling. And if they sell, then it would be the right thing to do from a building this team to the future perspective to trade Seth Lugo. I don't want them to do it, but I would totally understand if that's the move that they end up making. And that's not to say that Seth Lugo can't be on the 2026 Royals. We watched the Tigers trade Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers. They got Trey Sweeney, who's their current shortstop and is a pretty good player. And then in this past offseason, they re-signed Jack Flaherty to a 3-year deal. Now the difference being Seth Lugo is 35. He's probably going to want a lot of money. Do you risk giving another mid-30s pitcher a deal around $17 to $20 million, and Lugo's probably going to get more than that? It would be a risky proposition, but that is a scenario that could play out if they want to do right by Lugo to get him back pitching in the playoffs. I'll leave it there. Toast game to Bobby Witt Jr. for the 4-hit game on Saturday. Vinny Pasquantino for the 5 RBI game on Saturday as well. The first and only Royals win at home in the month of June, which is a crazy thing to say considering some of the teams they played at home in June. With that, this has been One Royal Way, and I appreciate everybody that listens to this, supports this channel. Be sure to like and subscribe again, all those good things. Leave a review. That also helps if you're on the podcast side. That helps grow this channel as well, helps more people see it. So cheers, everybody, and we'll talk soon.